So it's 7:18 in the morning. We just left our hotel in El Paso. Of course, on the U.S. side, we're about to cross the border over into Mexico. We're crossing the bridge right now.
It's only a short drive from the Texas border, and at first glance, Juarez, Mexico looks like any other city. But when you see armed Mexican military troops, you quickly realize you're in a war zone.
So you see there's some military personnel here, some back there right by the border. Some like 8,000 Mexican military people on the ground here in Juarez.
So why are they here? Well, to try to contain a drug war that's been raging in Mexico since 2007. That's when Mexican President Felipe Calderón decided to crack down on the powerful drug gangs that rule the city, known as cartels. Since then, almost 10,000 people have been killed, most of them connected to or fighting against the drug trade. The military presence here on the ground, has that helped the situation, do you think?
Sin duda.
This decision came out of the fact that there weren't enough reliable police officers to patrol the city, including federal officers. Therefore, this initiative came in to help with policing duties temporarily and support the efforts to fight organized crime.
Because journalists have often been targeted by the cartels in the past, we were advised to limit our time spent filming on the streets.
We just come up to an intersection. There's 3 military vehicles with, guys in the back with huge guns. I mean, it's kind of startling. I guess that's normal. They're always just sort of patrolling the city. Shoot out the back.
Buenas tardes.
¿Qué son
Tenemos
ustedes?
periodistas.
Periodistas.
We just passed 3 military trucks with guys that are armed in the back of them. And Tony, my producer, was shooting, filming these guys driving on the streets, and we were immediately pulled over and basically surrounded. And once we explained that we were here just to, we were here for news, everything was fine.
In Mexico, the drug trade is a $14 billion a year industry. It's run by 4 main cartels with a few smaller groups emerging, each controlling specific territories in the country.
20 years ago, drugs went into the United States through Florida. It was called the Caribbean route, and the United States moved their forces and strengthened their navy, and once that happened, drugs started flowing into Mexico, and that's when the problems we have now started.
Problems like a homicide rate that's higher than any other city in the world. And the cartel violence isn't only between gang members. Government leaders, lawyers, even citizens have also been targeted. I know we read the headline today, a mayor in the next town over. What's the town? In Palomas. He's killed, That's got to scare you.
It is scary. It is something that is very difficult for the government to do, but we have to do it. We have to get things under control to stop the violence in the city.
Getting the city under control means a security force of more than 10,000, made up of both federal police officers and military troops. In 2007, the U.S. approved $700 million to help fight the Mexican cartels, and this year, Congress approved $470 million more, part of which to fund helicopter patrols like this one.
So right now we're literally hovering over the border between the United States and Mexico. So it just so happens, as we're patrolling the city here, there is some sort of situation going on down there on the ground. As you can see, there's about 8 or 9 police vehicles, and basically that's the job of these helicopters, to see if there are situations like this happening.
Last year, there were 1,600 homicides in the city of Juarez. So far this year, it's already hit 2,000, an average of 6 deaths per day. More from the streets of Juarez after the break. feels really chaotic right now. There's, sirens up and down the road here. People are sort of scrambling all around. As we were moving to our next location on the ground in Juarez, we got news of 2 murders that went down nearby. A lot of chaos earlier. There was 2 murders like 10 blocks from where we were. You see, as the Mexican government has shut down smuggling routes or arrested drug traffickers, the cartels have become more violent in order to maintain control of their turf. Another roadblock is possible corruption within the government and law enforcement, like police getting paid by the cartels. So the police force that we're riding with right now, a few weeks ago, was completely rehauled. About 50% of the police back then were let go and replaced by thousands of new police. The mayor of Juarez fired officers who were found to have connections to the cartels.
We fired 50% of the police force.
Now those 50 that got fired, what are they doing now?
They left the city.
He also says another major issue is the high demand for drugs in the U.S.
I told you one of my chiefs of police was killed, and he had 4 bodyguards. All 5 of them were killed, and they were killed basically at the same time that the U.S. decided not to prosecute Michael Phelps for using drugs. And the policies need to be consistent. If we don't want the dead in Mexico and the drugs in a party in the United States.
The violence along the U.S.-Mexico border has also become a matter of national security. Protecting the border falls under the Department of Homeland Security, headed by Secretary Janet Napolitano. Even though it's in Mexico, it's affecting
us,
our country.
Right. The Department of Justice has estimated that the big cartels, have distribution routes that go into well over 200 American cities and towns. So basically nobody is immune here, and everybody has a stake here.
Now, in interviewing the mayor of Juarez, he had said that until the demand in the United States goes down, these drugs are going to keep being passed over the border. What do you say when you hear something like that?
Well, I think Secretary of State Clinton and myself, the Attorney General, we have all acknowledged that we have to do more to reduce demand. But also, from the law enforcement side, it's not just about demand reduction. You got to go after these cartels.
So, at least for now, the people of Juarez will continue living surrounded by violence. Stephen Fabian, Channel 1 News.